This is about what Rhett weighed when he was born, wasn't he? 15 pounds, something like that?
15 pounds. How come you never looked at me like that when I was a kid?
You cost me way more than this. It was like, bro, it ain't cool. I'm a peon.
Like Ruby.
When I originally wired up the house, I deliberately wired in a switch that would control an outlet on the front porch. At that time, I hadn't built the front porch, and for quite some time I would look at that spool of wire hanging there, thinking that at some point down the road, I'm going to be glad that I did that. Cedar loves every holiday you can think of. Her and the kids love decorating the house, and as much as I have a tendency to be a Scrooge, the truth is it brings joy into our home. I always knew that it would mean the world to my wife to have a very simple strip of Christmas lights across our front porch, at a minimum. She doesn't ask for a whole lot, and she most definitely deserves way more than I've given her. I'm wiring up these outlets that are controlled by a switch inside the house, and Cedar's desire to have Christmas lights is helping me add another unfinished project to the finished project list. Every time I go through that front door, I would see that little spool of wire hanging up there, thinking to myself, one of these days, I need to wire up those outlets. I have a tendency to look at holidays from a very practical standpoint. I tell myself that having Christmas lights on the front porch in an off-grid application probably isn't the best way to conserve our batteries. Thank goodness, Cedar, on the other hand, has a tendency to throw practical to the wind. She leads with her heart. That's what drew me to her many years ago. This is why she is a great balance to who I am. Okay, I worked late last night getting all the wire pulled. Cedar's gone for the day. She went down south to do some shopping, and I want to get this done before she gets back. So really all I have to do is wire up 3 outlets at 3 different places, string the new Christmas lights, get them stapled up, and then what I hope to do is just see if she notices. I'm not going to say anything to her. I'm just going to see if she notices. So step one is to get these outlets wired up. She's never asked for a whole lot, and she's never expected a whole lot. But every once in a while, I'm reminded that I can take a little bit of time and brighten up her day by simply doing something that I know she would want me to do, like putting up the Christmas lights. She has raised our kids to have that same love for the holidays like she has. The problem with being practical is it has a tendency to be quite boring. Maybe someday I can learn to be more like her, enjoy life just a little bit more. I rarely remember dreams that I might have, but every once in a while I have this reoccurring dream on the verge of a nightmare about the last job that I had in my professional career. And I happened to wake up at 5 a.m. this morning from another version of that dream. In this particular dream, I was stuck at that job that I quit 15 years ago. In my dream, I was consciously trying to quit that job because I knew I had a brighter future ahead of me. But the job was a good job, and I was comfortable, and I had paid vacation, and I had insurance, and I had a company truck, and a company credit card, and all the things that come with being an employee. And in this dream, I knew that my best days were ahead of me, and yet I still could not quit this job.
You did it! Oh, that was so nice. You put them up all by yourself? I didn't even have to beg you? Oh.
You made
You
it.
just did it with the flip of a switch? How'd you do that?
Yeah.
Look how pretty. It's so Christmassy.
They need to be straightened out. The irony is I know what has happened since I quit that job. I know that everything we have here and now is the direct result of taking a risk, starting a business, and investing in ourselves. Yet my subconscious brain is still terrified that I'm stuck at that job. It wasn't like it was a bad job. As a matter of fact, it was the best job that I'd ever had at that point in time. But had I stayed at that job, our lives would be quite normal. Maybe I wouldn't have figured out just what I'm made of. I can tell you here and now what we have at Red Poppy Ranch would not exist. I was somewhere around 28 years old when I quit that job, and Cedar and I started our own plumbing company. But I wanted to know what I was made of. I didn't ever want to be accused of skating through life. I wanted to know that I had complete control of my future, and working for somebody else, I didn't feel that way. I'm sure sitting in a soft chair with the right therapist would help me understand just in fact why I have this reoccurring dream/nightmare. But I've thought about this dream all day long today and asked myself why, in that dream, I'm so terrified of being normal and staying at that job. I think more than anything, I knew I had something better inside me. Okay, I got Cedar's Christmas lights taken care of. I got some wood split. I really want to get the lights on out here so I can keep working in the evenings. In order to do that, I've got to wire up the sub panel, but there's a couple parts I don't have, but I'm going to go ahead and do it just to show you. I don't have the, I don't know what it's called, the isolator that protects the wires from the panel. That's required by code if I get this inspected, which I'm going to. And I don't have the ground bar. I just text a friend and he says he has one in town, so I'm going to run and get that. But I can wire up the neutral. I can wire up the two hot legs coming in. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get that done real quick. I'm not saying there's anything wrong for being an employee, and I'm not saying that you should go out and start your own business. All right. And these things are supposed to go like that, I believe. To keep you from getting shot. And that is my alarm to go pick up my kids from the school bus. But what I know is I wanted to be in complete control of my destiny. I wanted to know what my value was in the world. Okay, this side is completely done. I got the ground bar in. I got the wires connected. I was able to put a, I don't even know what it's called, male adapter and a lock nut on it. And so now I need to go finish the connection inside the house, and then all I have to do is run the wires to the lights. So tomorrow morning, that's my goal, is to get power out here, get this finished up. So this was the hard part, so I'm happy to have that done. Okay, last night I spent a good hour and a half or 2 hours getting all the wires inside the house, inside the utility room, tied in. So really all I have left to do is run the wires from the panel to the switch here, from the switch to the lights. That's my goal for today, and if all goes well, it shouldn't take very long. Then there's a tree about halfway up the hill that I've been watching for a while, and it's a big mature maple tree, and it died. And there's a whole lot of firewood up there. So I'm gonna go up there and cut that maple tree down, maybe have the kids help me this afternoon get that tree cut down, and see if we can't add some firewood to the stores. We're using up, a fair amount of firewood right now, and so we need to get back in in the habit of piling some firewood up before it gets too much colder and before the weather changes. It's actually beautiful weather. It seems like every year this happens. A storm comes in, puts some snow down, and then by the time Christmas comes around, half the time my kids are praying for a white Christmas. And then in January it kicks off. It seems like between January and about March is when winter really sets in. So the weather looks really good for the next week, which means I'm going to pile up some firewood and I'm going to work on that little cabin up on top. So I got to get these lights done before I can do anything else. There are lots of people being forced to reevaluate just in fact what their value is. And that's a scary place to be. My worst case scenario professionally is working for somebody else as an employee in the plumbing trade. I know that I can pay our bills with that skill. And if everything else goes away tomorrow, I have no problem going back to my past life and being a plumber. At some point, I would get my licenses back in place, and I would start another plumbing company, and we would do it again. Change can be very difficult, especially when we're forced into it, but it can also be an opportunity to reevaluate just in fact who we are. Being overly comfortable is not good for anybody. I think our society has been overly comfortable for too long, and I believe that's part of our problem. I don't wish hardship or struggle on anybody, but oftentimes hardship and struggle can be a fast and easy way to see how much character we have and just in fact what we're made of. I've said this before, but my dad once said to me that if we all stood in a circle, took all of our problems and threw them in the middle for everybody else to see, we would happily grab our problems and turn around and go home. All right, we are ready to throw the breaker in the house, I think. Okay, power there. Should be hot, top one's hot, bottom one's not. Ready? That's 2 lights.
That's like
jacked I am with that.
That's like Clark Griswold turning on his Christmas lights.
I'm sure our battery bank is going. You don't know how happy I am.
That's awesome.
And I'm thinking about putting 3 more of those lights in. I don't think it needs it.
Oh,
We probably get by with 4 instead of 6.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome. But you can individually turn all 3 of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even so, the middle one, let's see if I did this right. Okay.
Wow.
Even that's not horrible.
No, not at all.
Holy crap, you don't know how freaking excited I am. Now we can put the kids to bed, go out here and play pool.
All right.
Like good old days. All right. There's a few of these trees that I have up here on the hillside that have died over the last couple of years. That's a big mature maple tree for up here. I would guess that tree is probably 60 plus years old. I've been watching it for like 2 years, and all the skin is peeling off of them. There's 3 of them right here. They just so happen to be right close to the trail that goes back to the cabin. I'm gonna cut that tree down, take a piece of it down and split it and see how wet it is. But then tomorrow, I'm gonna bring Cedar and the kids up here, even though maybe just the kids. Cedar's probably gonna be cooking all day. There's probably a cord of wood, or a half a cord of wood at least. Between all 3 of these trees, there's probably 2 cords of wood. My concern is that it's gonna be pretty wet, but even still, maple sends all its sap down into its roots, and you can burn it. It just doesn't burn quite as hot. But we need to add wood to our firewood, and there's a lot of good wood in this tree. So I'm gonna fall this tree real quick. That's some dry wood. There's a little bit of moisture in there, but nowhere near what it would normally have. Tomorrow we're gonna buck all that up, and I'll have the kids help me load my truck up. I can get my truck right there. I don't know if I can get my truck a whole lot further back, but between those 2 or 3 trees, there's over a cord of wood, and I'm thinking that we'll use right around 3 cords of wood, especially hardwood. We're not gonna use anywhere near as much hardwood as we do the pine and the Doug fir. So this coming Sunday's video, I'm going to continue working on the electrical in the shop, but I'm going to get back on the cabin. I'm probably going to spend a couple days on firewood. The weather's really nice right now. I've got a window to get some firewood. I think I'm going to try and get my truck just loaded to the gills with firewood, add a couple quarters to this pile here, and then I can stop worrying about it and stop talking about it. So happy Thanksgiving, you guys.